Israeli fighter jets targeted a Syrian military installation early Saturday morning, causing extensive damage to a number of hangars and buildings that, according to an intelligence source, were used by Iranian elements for the purpose of manufacturing medium-range missiles. The bombardment began around 2 a.m. on Saturday when Israeli fighter planes launched a number of air-to-surface missiles from the skies of neighboring Lebanon toward installations located near the city of Masyaf in the western part of the central Hama region. According to local Syrian sources, a number of forces were killed in the alleged Israeli strike, which the London-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights identified as Iranian forces and their proxy militants. According to a Syrian military source who was quoted by the state media agency Sana, Syrian air defenses intercepted the hostile missiles and downed some of them before reaching their targets. The military source confirmed the destruction of some buildings, yet stopped short from providing additional details. A day after the attack, however, the Israeli intelligence company, ImageSat International, released satellite images that purported to show the targeted military installation. One of the images also shows a number of surface-to-air batteries, including the advanced Syrian-operated S-300 anti-missile system, as well as the most advanced Russian-operated S-400 system. Well, it is clear that the Syrian forces used their advanced anti-missile system to try and thwart the Israeli bombardment. There is no indication of whether they received the assistance from their Russian counterparts. While the IDF spokesperson's unit refused to respond to the reported strike, incumbent Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu alluded to Israel's alleged responsibility. In an address the Israeli leader made during a special ceremony for bereaved families of IDF soldiers, Netanyahu reiterated Jerusalem's continued determination to defend the Jewish state from all of its enemies.
אנו נחושים להגן על ארצנו, גם מול המרים והגדולים באויבינו, שחרטו על דגלם את השמדתנו. איננו נרתעים ממאבק, ביודענו שאנו נלחמים נגד מבקשי נפשנו. רוחנו חזקה, כוחנו איתן. איננו נחפזים עלי קרב, מי כמונו יודעים שמחיר המלחמה הוא נורא. אבל בל יטעה בנו איש. כשביטחון ישראל מוטל על הכף, אנו פועלים במלוא עוצמתנו. מי שמסכן אותנו שם עצמו בסכנה גדולה פי כמה. אנו ממשיכים לפעול בכל החזיתות, כולל בחזית הצפון, כי איננו מוכנים לתת למישהו לבסס עוצמה לסכן את מדינת ישראל. העוצמה היא הערובה לקיומנו, והיא התנאי החיוני והיסודי להשגת שלום עם שכנינו.
Meanwhile, in Washington today, Israel's National Security Council head Meir Ben-Shabbat held a meeting with his American counterpart John Bolton. Prior to their meeting, Trump's national security advisor released a statement on his Twitter account in which he said that their discussions would focus on the shared Israeli-American commitment to countering Iranian malign activity and other destabilizing actors in the Middle East and around the world. According to domestic Israeli media reports, the two security advisors will also talk about the growing concern in the United States over Chinese investment in Israeli infrastructure projects. That after U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo issued a stark warning to Israel last month that the close security cooperation between Washington and Jerusalem could be reduced over Israel's growing cooperation with China. Now in other news, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo insisted that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's election promise of asserting Israeli sovereignty over parts of the West Bank would not hurt the Trump administration's so-called deal of the century. In an exclusive interview with the American broadcaster CNN, Pompeo stressed that the long-awaited peace initiative would lay out a vision that will represent a significant change from the model that was used to date. The top American diplomat explained that after 40 years of exhausting a lot of ideas that did not deliver peace between the Israelis and Palestinians, the Trump administration decided to put forward a new vision that is different and unique from past attempts. Instead of repeating the same efforts and expecting a different result, Pompeo stressed that the Trump initiative tries to reframe and reshape what has become an intractable problem with the aim of providing a better life for both Israelis and Palestinians. Meanwhile, in the West Bank city of Ramallah, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has once again rejected the so-called deal of the century. In a meeting with his newly sworn-in Palestinian government, Abbas re-emphasized that the American peace initiative has lost its validity the moment Jerusalem was taken off the negotiating table. The statement by President Mahmoud Abbas came after he swore in a new Palestinian government headed by a loyalist from his dominant Fatah faction. The new government sparked anger among Abbas's rivals, however, including the Hamas leadership in the Gaza Strip, which termed the new government formation as a blow to intra-Palestinian unity efforts. The newly appointed Prime Minister, Mohammed Shtayyeh, is an economist and a longtime advisor to the Palestinian president.